I have another story for you. Now, when I first heard this, saw this going viral on Facebook, I um, just heard an 8 minute clip. But then shortly after, I found the whole clip. And because this is very sensitive information in someone's story, I want them to be heard in the full context. So I'm going to play this live that this young man did. His name is Jeremiah Williams. And he is talking about someone named Maurice Brantley. I don't even want to try to summarize it for you, but this is your trigger warning. This is Jeremiah Williams talking about some abuse that he experienced while a minor and the grooming that took place.
Anybody know I came out last I want to say like
Hold on. Let me. This Facebook thing is hard to rewind. Okay, here's from the beginning.
I'm gonna wait till a little bit more people join because people can state their opinions on the situation all they want. At the end of the day, nobody didn't have to fucking go through it but me. So, um, I could care less what anybody else has to say about the situation. Um, this situation is something that I have been battling with for a long time, almost going on 7 years. Um, when people start to ask me questions like, "Why are you just not coming out about the situation?" or why haven't you been saying anything or anything like that? You didn't go through it. Shit like that can ruin a person's mind, mental, all that. That shit was stripped away from me at 12 years old. You weren't in it, so you couldn't tell me what the fuck to do. You can't. So, with that being said, everybody can just keep their comments to themselves because you didn't go through it and you didn't have to go through it. With that being said, um, I would like for everybody to stop saying that I'm healed from the situation. I've seen a couple posts, people saying that I'm healed and stuff. I am not healed by the situation, but I am at peace with the situation. I can't say I'm healed with the situation because I'm just becoming like fully aware of what I actually went through. Like that shit fucking with your boy. No lie, but it happened. I went through it. So 6th grade, uh, the beginning of 6th grade wasn't bad at all. I would say it was towards the middle of 6th grade when stuff started to get shaky. I felt as though I started questioning my sexuality. And, yeah, bullying was going on. A lot of that was going on during that time. So, I really didn't have any friends or nothing like that, or anything of that sort. So, I was always cool with teachers, anybody that could be in my corner, I wanted to be cool with. Um, Maurice Brantley was one of them people. He was one of them. He was one of them people that I thought was in my corner during that time, and I felt as though I could trust him. Um, Now we all obviously can see that I could not do that. First incident occurred. like I said, during the middle of my 6th grade year, I was in the ISS room. It was just me and Antonio Maurice Brantley in the ISS room. We were joking and laughing. We were playing, and it was no context to what he did, but he grabbed my, as y'all can imagine what I'm thinking about, and I'm not talking about my rear area. I didn't know how to feel. I stood in shock, and I stood there. A couple minutes later, I did it back to him, and one thing led to another, and I ended up giving him oral sex in the classroom. That's the first incident. During this time, I was what you can say is rewarded by the things that I was doing. Me and another student, and this other student DM'd me last night when I came about my story. He asked me why I didn't tell him, because he was also cool with Maurice Brantley. Anybody that knows, that man bought me iPhone 8 Plus during the time I was in 6th grade. He bought me AirPods, food, anything. You can ask anybody that went to that school. He hovered over me like I was a golden child. I could never do no wrong. I could never get in trouble, because Maurice Brantley will always protect me no matter what. When I would get in trouble with teachers, they would send me to Mr. Brantley. Shit. So, yeah. Second incident. After a basketball game, my mom allowed Antonio Maurice Brantley to take me home after a basketball game, because I asked her, could I stay? But she told me that I had to find a ride. Like I said, after the basketball game, Maurice Brantley proceeded to take me home, and before we stopped to get to his car, we stopped by the bathroom. He went in the bathroom by himself. He locked the door behind him. He then came out of the bathroom still unbuckling his pants while they were still down. I then proceeded to grope his groin area, and then we proceeded to leave the school. As we're leaving the school, on the way home, I gave him head all the way home. Yeah. So that happened. There was a third incident that occurred before everything went to stops, and it was one weekend. He talked my mom into thinking that he was going to tutor me. He picked me up from my house that morning, and we went back to his home in Swainsboro, where he was living at with his mother. And there was no tutoring done whatsoever. There was nothing but grooming and sexual activity the whole time. As we left his house, once again, the whole way home, I gave him bed. During the time this shit was occurring, I didn't tell nobody, because you don't really know what to do shit like that is actually happening to you, it's like something that I can't even explain. Like, you can't, like, nobody is prepared to go through anything like that. And I don't want anybody to ever have to go through something like that. Okay. Fast forward to my 18th birthday. Mind you, the years have gone by. I have not had contact with this man. I have not texted him or anything. I can't say that I still had him on social media, on all my social medias. I still had him on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all that. So, fast forward, my 18th birthday approaches, and he messages me, and my mother has the messages. I still have the messages. I still can screenshot the messages. He texts me apologizing about what he did to me, and that he couldn't explain. He didn't know why he did what he did. And in my mind, it had been going on so long that I feel like the situation was okay. I did not respond in the way that people think I would have responded. I didn't respond in the way that I should have responded. I responded as if though I still wanted him to do things that he was doing to me. He quickly texted me back with, what do you mean, or whatever the case may be, and I left it at that. I didn't text him back. Fast forward, thank you for my best friend, because y'all, friends are, I'm thankful for the friends that I have, and I'm thankful for the people that I call my friends, because without my best friend, Savall, I don't even know if I would be able to even acknowledge the situation as it is. I thought I was at peace with the situation by not speaking on it or not thinking about it at all. As I stated in my Facebook post, my mom has questioned me. My phone stayed checked. My mama questioned me multiple times. Has anybody ever touched you? And my answer was always no, because in the back of my mind, I thought what was happening was right, because in my mind, it glorified my sexuality, because I didn't know what I wanted at the time, but that is what confirmed for me. That is what confirmed for me what I wanted. So I didn't think that it was wrong. Okay, with that being said, he texted me back and said, what do you mean I didn't respond, or whatever the case may be. Fast forward, me and Savall, we had stopped, we've always been friends on and off for a good while, but it was never no bad blood, never nothing like that. My mom knows Savall well. Savall has been in my house. My mom knows Savall is a good friend of mine, and one night, I was at Savall's house, and she went out the room to go in the kitchen, and I don't know what hovered over my mind to tell her that these things were occurring with Antonio Maurice Brantley, but I felt the need to tell her. Mind you, I talk about any and everything with Savall, so I felt the need to tell her. I end up explaining the situation to Savall as if, I would say in my opinion, as if it was funny. That's how I felt. I explained the situation to Savall. She quickly stared at me like I was fucking stupid and told me, Jeremiah, you were sexually assaulted. And explained to me that what happened was not right. In my mind, it immediately clicked, and she immediately told me that I needed to tell my mom. I called my mom on the phone, and I let her know. And honestly, I'm thankful that I don't delete messages, or I didn't delete the messages of him telling me that he was sorry for the things that he had done. But I ended up calling my mama, and I ended up telling her the situation. Lost for words. I won't wish that shit on anybody. I won't wish that shit on anybody. My mama felt as though it was her fault that I wasn't protected. shit made me feel like, because at the end of the day, we always think it's our mothers as mothers, but they're fucking human beings and they have feelings too. So I heard the hurt in my mama's voice and I just instantly broke down. Because, like, what can you do, bro? Like, what can you do when it's already done? There's nothing you can do when it's already done. So, yeah. Now, quickly fast forwarding to the whole coming out situation. Anybody know I came out last, I want to say like a day before Thanksgiving last year. And, yeah, I just was going through a really rough time. I was really depressed. I didn't know what was going on. I let my mama know that I was feeling depressed. No, I did not get therapy. I did not want therapy because I felt as though I did not feel like I knew what the problem was. Whenever I was asked, well, what's wrong with you? Or why do you feel this way? Or why are you so depressed? Or why are you beating yourself up? Or why are you so stressed out? It was always I don't know. It was always, I don't know. And I want anybody to know that whoever asked me or whoever tried to check up on me and I told them I don't know, that's because I really did not know. I did not know I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't know. It's not that I didn't want to talk to nobody. It's not that I didn't want to open up, but I felt as though my feelings were I did not know what was wrong with me. I just felt trapped. So fast forward, I ended up coming out. What I thought was the reason that I was so depressed and so stressed out and all this and just so beat up and so so worn out, like at a young age. Like, what are you so worn out for? It got to a point where I thought it was work. Like, I'm 17. Like, the fuck is work stressing me out for? Yeah, I just thought it was so many other things, and I tried to make it so many other things because I did not want to face this situation. Um, so yeah, end up coming out. That fixed nothing. It gave me a sense of clarity that I was able to be who I finally am, and I was able to just finally be me. Yeah. So that gave me a little bit of peace of mind, but quickly after, shit just went right back down. I decided that I wanted to move to Colorado, because I wanted a fresh start. I felt as though I did not belong in Statesboro. I did not want to stay in Statesboro at all. That's just how I felt. Uh, I'm sorry. So, yeah, that's just how I felt. During the time up to like a couple months before me moving, me and my mama went through a very rough patch. This is not for me to. I'm not saying this as to degrade my mother or anything. We have a great relationship. I feel though is where I went wrong at and why we were bumping heads is because, like I said, I did not understand that my mom was human. I think like that's really where I fucked up at. I was putting all the blame on her. This situation, everything, I was definitely putting the blame on her. And I shouldn't have at all. And I'm sorry. And I can't take it back. But it happened. Yeah. It took for me to stand on the front porch with my mama and bawle my eyes out for 35 minutes to understand where she was coming from. I had to understand that she's human. She got feelings too, and she also goes through things. So, yeah, we still had. I let her know about the situation, like I said. And why I keep saying I'm at peace at the situation, I'm not healed, is because I'm so at peace at the situation. When I called my mom to let her know what had happened, I told her I did not want nothing to happen to me. I told her I'm letting you know this so you can get a sense of clarity of what I'm going through because you've always asked what's wrong with me. So she needed that closing. Like, she needed that. So yeah, I told her not want nothing to happen to him to this day. I said what I said. I do not want nothing to happen to that man. I just want him to be away from kids. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just want him to be away from kids. That's how I feel about the situation. That's what I say. Also, I am asking for Justin. I'm asking for everybody to share my story around because I want him away from kids. A couple of people have got in my DMs and said that he was teaching at a middle school in Henry County. To my knowledge, or the last thing I saw that he was teaching in Augusta. So I don't really know. Police report has not been filed yet upon me because I have not done it yet. I will be looking into it, and I will be doing it, and I will be doing what I need to do for me to heal from this situation and get better. I just thank everybody for sharing my story. I think for everybody just being in my corner. Just watch our kids, man. People who you think are safe, like you just, it's no evil. It's an evil world. You really don't know, bro. Just, I want everybody to just be safe, and yeah, I just think everybody. I think my family that I have y'all in my corner, and I'm sorry to anybody who I've hurt during this journey because I can say I was a very angry person. Um, I'm sorry to my family for the time I can't give y'all back because family gatherings I weren't there. I always told y'all no. I didn't want to be around y'all presence. Um, so I just apologize to everybody. Um, it's nothing that I can go back and fix because we can't rewind time. But yeah, this is the situation at hand, and I just ask that everybody keep sharing my story. And I'm thankful for everybody, and I just hope y'all have a good day.
Wow. So there's a lot there as you heard, and it would have been even harder if you were able to see it. Just the emotion on his face. Um, I play that again, bring it back to this question of do men need sex? And you probably wonder why. Well, what's the relevance? Um, as someone who at one point was counseling close to 30 black men a week, um, leading the Whole Brother Mission and network of counselors that are serving and focusing in on black men and research related to black men and why we're in counseling and just staying in this world and of course living life as a black man and seeing what goes on. I do think it's really important to reframe certain assumptions that we have about sex. uh, as I mentioned, a lot of the men voted that men need sex. um, I'm trying to find a post. Um, let's see if I can find it. Where a man is essentially arguing. Uh, there it is. Monogamy. This is someone, of course, from Twitter. So someone posted, "What are your unpopular opinions that you stand firmly on?" And he said, "Monogamy isn't natural for men, and you can never convince me that it is. I'm a man, and I know what comes natural to me and most men. Not saying being with one woman is impossible, but it takes a conscious, willing effort." Um, and there have been similar posts that I've observed and similar sentiments in a variety of podcasts and posts where men say that sex is a need. Um, I was actually just talking to my barber recently too, and about this, and he was like, "Yeah, it is a need." And I was saying to him, I was like, "Well, you know." Needs are things like water, food, and air. We need water, food, and air to survive. And he said, well, we need that too. Um, and I get some of the jest behind that. Like, people really enjoy sex. It's, you know, God made sex and made it to be good. And it is, So, I mean, I'm not trying to be a prude about it, right? Or a stickler. I get it that it's good. Um, and I get, most of us wouldn't exchange it for anything else in the world. However, there are so many negative implications for us as a community if we adopt or have this mentality that sex is a need for men. Here's why. When you say that something is a need, you can't do without it. Homeless people need food, and that is why we might look at them strangely, but we understand when they're sifting through the trash trying to find food because they need it to survive. Same thing with water, air. You'll do something strange or extreme to get the thing that you need to survive. And this mentality that it's a need is why we see the things that we see in terms of cheating, for example. Work with so many couples, heard about so many couples that sit in couples counseling where the man cheated and the woman's just sitting there crying, like, why? What did I do? What could I have done better? And the man can only sit there with a goofy or blank stare on his face. No, you're great. It's not that I was doing it to spite you. Men just have needs. And it goes into this idea of sexual discipline that we don't talk about enough. We don't talk about sexual discipline, I think, because many of us fear delving into that conversation because it'll require us to get control of something that one is might be difficult to control, but also that we don't want to control. Because there's that physical gratification and sometimes psychological gratification that comes from sex, we don't necessarily want to control it. And what I want to caution the men with is unbridled sexual desire, not managing that sexual impulse, can turn into these stories that I just talked to you about. When I talked about the Diddy situation when it first came out, I spoke about Diddy's the accusations made against Diddy in terms of his freak offs and Cassie and the other people in sex trafficking. uh, I framed it from the idea of a lack of sexual discipline, and a few people were like, "Well, this isn't about sexual discipline. He was just an evil person. He was demonic, as some people might say, or demonique, as 5-year foreign might say." But I framed it that way because, again, when you have these sexual desires and you don't manage them, you end up living them out. And then when you get more resources and power, those desires grow and more resources grow to facilitate those things. So you end up with a sex trafficking situation because you got this person coming from over here and that person coming from over there, and you're getting money involved and you're using your power and resources to create the fantasy that you want. And what's important is to get that under control and recognizing this idea that not everything that gets me horny, not everything that I'm attracted to needs to be pursued. And so often men have taught other men, and hip hop and culture has taught men, if you want it, if it gets you aroused, go after it. And that is the extreme danger here because we have adopted sexual recklessness as a part of masculinity. You exhibit your masculinity, your manhood, by throwing your stuff out in the street for whoever you want or whoever wants it from you. Because the other side of this is a lot of us as men don't understand the idea of saying no to sex. So we have to have a much larger conversation and move toward action. So I'm not saying let's just talk, but let's do. Let's take serious this conversation about sex, and please don't just move forward with the mentality that if I want it, I go after it. Because sometimes you may have desires that will get you or someone else in trouble or in hurt or harm or put them in danger. The same way that you have to manage other urges, someone frustrates you, you want to swing on them. I want to swing on you really bad right now, but I'm not because I'm aware of the consequences. Why do we take off the burden of responsibility and discernment and tact when it comes to sex? In all other areas of life, we recognize that we have to exercise some restraint, but because sex is so pleasurable, we act as if this is our opportunity to just have a free for all. But that same discernment and restraint is needed as it relates to sex too. I never forget Dr. Umar talked about how, for the betterment of our community, some brothers need to know when to turn women down for sex. She may be throwing it at you, but if you recognize that she's not even in a good place mentally or emotionally, if there's other things she needs to deal with, you need to say no rather than just taking what you can get. I remember uh, the beginning of the end of a friendship with someone when I recognized that he was still trying to get sex from a woman that we both knew were was very broken and in a tough spot. He didn't care about the mental emotional state that she was in. He knew that she was ripe for the picking, so to speak, in terms of sex. And I don't applaud behaviors like that. There are a lot of men's friend circles that would applaud that, but I stand against it. So ended up losing that friend. But I do think as a culture we need more of that. uh, you don't know what unbridled sexual desire will turn into. And I can say again from my seat as someone who has worked through a variety of trauma related to sex with other people, not to scare you, but what starts off as just, oh, I'm just a freaky dude, can turn into something much more than you would have even imagined.